Article 5 of the US Constitution lays out the procedures for amending the document. One method allows 2/3 of Congress to propose an amendment. The other allows 2/3 of state legislatures to call a constitutional convention to propose amendments. In either case, the proposed amendments require the approval of 3/4 of the states, which would be through the state legislatures and the typical legislative process. So far in United States history, though, only Congress has proposed amendments. But now a movement among states to call a constitutional convention has reached the halfway mark. In late January, Nebraska became the 17th state to pass a resolution calling for a constitutional convention. That's half of the 34 required states to form that 2/3 majority. All 17 states have passed similar resolutions, which would limit the convention to proposing amendments to the Constitution of the United States that impose fiscal restraints on the federal government, limit the power and jurisdiction of the federal government, and limit the terms of office for its officials and for members of Congress. The movement is being spearheaded by a group called the Convention of States Foundation. It cites vaccine mandates, supply chain chaos, and federal intervention in public schools as reasons why this might be the right moment to finally limit the federal government's power and return control to the states. As the US government surpasses $30 trillion in debt, and as Nancy Pelosi seeks a 19th term in her 36th year in Congress, calls for fiscal restraint and term limits are more relevant than ever. The details are light on what exactly those proposed amendments to the Constitution would be. That would be for the delegates sent by each state to the Constitutional Convention to decide. And it is an enticing prospect to bring the federal government back under the control of the states as was originally intended by the founding fathers. But the odds of that happening are not exactly overwhelming. Georgia was the first state to pass the Constitutional Convention resolution in 2014. Then it took another 8 years to reach the halfway mark, 17 states of the 34 required. The latest state, Nebraska, included a sunset provision in its resolution, meaning its resolution will expire on February 1st, 2027. That leaves only 5 years to reach the goal. But most states that you would expect to favor limiting the federal government's power have already passed the amendment. In chronological order, the following 17 states have passed the resolution: Georgia, Alaska, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Indiana, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arizona, North Dakota, Texas, Missouri, Arkansas, Utah, Mississippi, Wisconsin, and Nebraska. And although the resolution has passed in one of the 2 legislative chambers of 8 additional states, it's likely to be increasingly difficult to pass the resolution in the remaining holdouts. I certainly do not want to criticize anybody who works hard to limit the power of the federal government. And if this is a cause you believe in, it takes relatively little effort to pick up the phone or send an email to your state rep or state senator asking them to support the resolution. But you don't want to rely on movements like this in order to gain personal freedom. Like the secession movement in New Hampshire that I talked about in a previous video, this is another example of collective action that you have little control over. At Sovereign Man, we focus on individual actions which you have total control over. The added bonus is that every action you take to strengthen your plan B is effectively a vote in favor of more freedom for yourself and for the world. Take digital nomads, for example. As the internet became more mainstream, many people found themselves able to work from anywhere. They started spending their time and money in jurisdictions around the world that offered the best benefits. That market force encourages smaller countries to compete to have the best internet, accommodations, infrastructure, and fair legal systems that don't scare Westerners away. Now it seems like every other day a new country is offering a digital nomad visa or remote work visa in a bid to attract talent and business to its shores. We've actually written about 20 of these options to our premium Sovereign Man subscribers, and we're going to be talking about more soon, so I'll add the link in our description if you want to find out more about our paid products where you can get more information. Some offer great tax rates or relaxed COVID restrictions or a really low cost of living. And you don't have to join a movement or get the approval of 51% of voters before you can take advantage of these offers. You can choose between the choices already available. It's a similar similar situation with the cost of a Caribbean passport in places like St. Lucia or in St. Kitts and Nevis. Most of these small island nations rely on tourism for revenue. So when COVID hit, they had to come up with a way to make money. So they put their citizenship by investment programs on sale to attract more interest. And while the price tag is still pretty expensive for most people, the trend is going in the right direction. Another example is El Salvador adopting Bitcoin as an official currency. Other countries are discussing similar options to encourage cryptocurrency use and development within their borders. These countries have nothing to lose and everything to gain, which is why offers for more freedom around the world are likely to grow. Yes, COVID policies did throw a wrench in some of that advancement, but even then, new countries emerged as bastions of certain types of freedom, like Mexico and Sweden, which are another two countries that we profiled to our subscribers about how to get residency and other benefits that you could gain from living there. This market competition between governments also operates on some levels between US states, which is why we publish guides on things like the best low-tax states and homeschool freedom, which again, I'll link to below. But for now, the federal government's control over the states makes it smart to look at all your options globally when you're crafting your plan B. I'm Joe Jarvis with Sovereign Man. Please like this video, leave us a comment about your plan B, and subscribe to get more content like this.